Hey guys, welcome to a peacast, because you have your pod and you have your peas in the pod. No one's going to get that. What happens after death is a good one.
Okay.
I think we could roll with what happens after death, because really it's a topic that's mostly explored in religion, I suppose. But there's a spirituality around it that I think most people can sort of have an idea or come to peace with it. What do you guys think happens?
Honestly, I know which one of yous believe that after death that's it.
Yeah, I do.
I've sort of thought about it, and I don't know, it almost makes me laugh that, like, it's hard to fathom that. It's hard to fathom nothingness.
See, it's funny because I feel like after you sort of come to terms with it, it's hard to fathom anything but. Like, how could you think that there is something else when you've got nothing to show for it? I don't know, though. I feel like I go through stages sometimes where I feel like, where at no point in my life I feel like I've been religious. I feel as though there's a spirituality around it. Like, I don't know if soul's the right term, but I don't know. It's a very hard thing to describe, but sometimes I go, oh, maybe there's something.
I read something good, and it was like, once you die, you talk to a guy, not necessarily in the clouds, and then you can only experience afterlife after you've experienced every life on Earth. So you die, and then you go back into a different body, experience that life, and you have to experience every life that's ever existed and ever will, ever has been. And then once you do that, you just, I don't know, reach omniscience.
That'd be kind of cool. I like the idea that we live this life in a loop.
Yeah.
Or that you do get put into a different body. You know, like, my dad spoke to like two different mediums, or, you know, someone who's claims to be a psychic of some description, and apparently both of them told him that he was a medic for the French in like World War One. Both. Like, one said it on the Gold Coast and one said it in Canberra, two completely different people. And I was like, that's a cool coincidence, isn't it?
Surely there's just like a massive psychic community who's like, oh yeah, so everyone just tell people for
Every
this
cunt
week.
with black hair. Sorry, we'll cut the cunt bit.
Yeah,
the second
for
cunt
this
bit.
this month's
The third what part?
Cut. 4.
it just keeps going.
For what? I'm not keeping up.
I said cut.
And we're at 5.
5 cunts. 5, 6.
I like to think that there's a certain amount of energy in the universe that you can't create more of it. You can't get rid of it. It's always there and always will be, and flows through everything. And then once you die, your energy just gets put into something else.
That's literally the law. Like, you can't create or destroy energy. It can only be transferred or transformed.
Well,
that's in this from a science perspective.
not so much energy, but like just life. There's only so much of it, and once it's gone somewhere else, like once the train of thought's coming, stay there.
Chugga, 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 chugga.
What would you say? I guess it's in some movies. Like, what would you call your body? A vessel?
Yeah.
I think Buddhists believe that. So, as long as you're pure in the mind, it doesn't really matter what you do with your body. And I think that's why they view ladyboys as okay. Because as long as you're pure, as long as you're pure of mind and pure of heart, your body is just a vessel. And I think, look, for me personally, I think even if there is something afterwards, live like this is it.
Yeah, that's definitely a good mindset to have.
Yeah,
It's very, very funny coming from someone who doesn't do much with themselves. Actually.
Yeah, I know, but okay. My advice to other people, because do as I say and not as I do, live like this is it.
You got to wonder though. So, if we've got these vessels, and they're considered to be, you know, object and physical and like a stationary thing.
This chair is so fucking squeaky.
Sit in one fucking spot. We were recording for probably 10 minutes.
And we've probably cut about half this.
Yeah,
Oh, without
really.
a doubt.
Go on, Harp. Sorry.
So, if you look at it from a almost scientific, but we should have wait.
Yeah. The teacher at the room. It's your lunchtime, guys.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
You're only playing yourselves.
I've got my lunch here, guys. I'm set. PB&J.
I'll get paid either way, kids.
It's your time.
All right, carry on. Sorry, Josh. I'll try and compose myself.
Try. So think about it like this, right? We're a physical object, or at least our bodies are. So at some point, that would, well, if everything that we are is just made up of like scientific prospects, so like a physical body, a certain pattern, whether it be to do with cognition, so like electrical patterns in your brain. If you're looking at it from a scientific perspective, you should be able to map all of that and perfectly recreate it. Obviously, we don't have that sort of technology at the moment, but maybe one day we will. The question that arises when you're talking about an afterlife also sort of brings up whether you can recreate an exact person. Is that person, once they've been, mapped out and recreated, the same person? Is it a different person? Will they have different memories and thought patterns? Will their experiences then vary from each other? So if you've got two people, one's an exact copy of the other based on everything they've experienced, mapped out all brain patterning, everything that's happened in the past, and then you put them through the exact same situation, as a test subject or something like that, will they be the same person? And then so if things are different or the same, that's how you, maybe not how, but that's where you start looking into things like what actually differentiates us as people from just other things that can be recreated. So if there is something special,
You should see that special thing again. Let's say if someone goes into a different body, that unique bit of them you should see again. Is that what you're saying?
well, surely that unique thing can't necessarily be mapped out. And therefore that would imply that there's something extra, like an afterlife or a spiritual haven or something like that. Whereas if it can just be completely copied and recreated perfectly in the exact same situation, that would almost imply that there's nothing. It is just nothingness once you die.
From a scientific perspective, I remember someone that they thought that the soul weighed 21 grams.
Yeah, that's a
But
really common...
But I think it's just that's your last breath. It must be.
I don't know. Does your weight vary based on your inhaling and exhaling?
Give me 1 sec.
You couldn't top ladder if you fucking tried.
Yeah, so here the mass of a breath is approximately about 0.5 to 5 grams. A litre of air weighs about 1.2 kilos per cubic metre. A litre of air weighs about 1.2 grams, 1.2 kilos per cubic metre.
Per person, per winner, per day.
Oh, I forgot about the conversion rate and whatnot. Yeah.
Aussie dollars to baht.
Yeah, and then...
I was waiting for it.
and we're on Eastern Standard Time, not daylight time anymore, so,
For reference to the listeners, this is just a thing we do when a fact is said. We tend to just blow things out about things that really don't need to be considered, but also really need to be considered.
Oh, we forgot about inflation. Fuck me. Always forget inflation.
Oh, and Brexit's coming up. Remember that.
That's right. Okay.
And the election's just been.
Oh, yeah, but then it happened on the 18th of May, so that changes it.
No, it's a double negative.
Oh, you're so right.
And if we're multiplying through by that negative, then...
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Oh, no. Long division.
You couldn't pay me to listen to this.
This is only funny to us.
Yeah, I know.
And that's the goods.
All right, so...
So have you come to terms... Do you believe you've come to terms with the fact that you think there's nothing after death?
Yeah, 100%. Fuck yeah. I can't wait to not listen again. Not have one person ever again go to me, how's your day? It's going to be unreal.
Just seems like a... I don't know if you'd say that's a sadder life. Imagine not looking forward to something.
But all I look forward to is the next day. Like...
Yeah, it's going to fucking suck when you're about to die, eh? I
But
guess
would
you'd
it
die.
though? Because like, I have no worry about. Look, I've read that book. I've done enough shit to go to hell, and I don't worry about that because, for me, it's not there. I don't know. It's hard for me because I think out loud, I've only ever said I believe in nothing after death, and honestly, in my heart of hearts, if that is it, I am fine with that. Because that's just how it is. And I won't know I'm dead because I'll be dead, and it won't be a problem for me. And after I die, I just want the cheapest possible option for my family. Like, that's it. But there's any number of times in any given year, or maybe even a month or a week or a day, I'll go, maybe there's something else. Like, I don't want to say too many coincidences or this or that, but yeah, like, I think you can be atheist and still spiritual.
Yeah, I don't think being an atheist comes hand in hand with just believing there's nothing after death, or spiritual is different, I believe.
Yeah, it does and it doesn't, right? Because basically atheism is not a belief system. It's just sort of a way of thinking. Like, it's different in the sense that it's just like, show me the evidence, as opposed to no, I believe there's nothing. No, I believe there's nothing till I see evidence against it. It's different. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm just not getting a lot of response from that end of the table.
Yeah, I'd be happy with if there wasn't anything after death and it was just nothing, but I'd like to believe there is. Don't know what. I'm not sure there is, but I'd like there to be.
That's why religion's a thing, but right? It's a nice thought.
What if it came down to your belief determined how you ended up?
Exactly.
So if you believe that there's a heaven or something like that, you'll go there and live in that state of euphoria forever. If you believe there's nothing, other people can observe you in a state of nothing. If you believe that there's only sort of a hell or a purgatory or something like that, other people can observe you in that way.
It turns out afterlife is the core of your brain, that your brain has grown over and evolved over like millions of years. It never dies. Your body does, and it's like a light that just stays on, and it's the core of your imagination. And what happens after you die, you just live in that little part of your brain forever.
That'd be fucking unreal.
That might waste away with your body, but like, it'll be there. Atomic, subatomic, it's always there. And you're just stuck in your own brain for the rest of your life. Fuck
See,
that.
That's probably. I don't know. That was always my biggest fear. Like,
being trapped alone with yourself.
Not only that, it was death being like you're sleeping. That always worried me.
So you've still got consciousness, but you've got no control over it.
And it's just nothing and black.
Yeah. You just
and like, I used to, like, as a kid, I worried about that more than any kid probably should. And I don't know why. It wasn't like the way I was brought up. It wasn't anything like that. It was just me going, that'd be fucked.
Gonna fucking suck.
That actually is quite a scary thought. Like, you're in a position where you've got some form of consciousness, but complete disorientation, no way to reference yourself or anything like that. Like, imagine just being stuck in a dreamscape where anything can change at any point. You've got no control, no point of reference, no way of getting out or in or anything of that nature.
It'd nearly be like losing more than 3 of your senses.
Yeah, walking around blind, deaf and dumb. Having said that,
That was
sometimes
dumb
I enjoy
sense.
that. What?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but
I think do you think it's naive to not be able to fathom that there's nothing at the end? Like, do you think it's naive to go that, well, when we die, there has to be something else because there couldn't be an existence without me in it? Like, do you view, like, magpies when they die, there's an afterlife for them?
That's actually a really big thing. A lot of people run that as why there is their opinion of why there is nothing afterwards, because they think surely there is nothing.
And insignificant.
Yeah, exactly. They think, how can people be so self-centered to think that they're like, we're important enough for there to be something afterwards?
that's just consciousness, isn't it? Or just a level of intellect.
I mean, I think a part of me that goes, there's nothing afterwards. It's a bit of that. It's a bit of, well, look, there was nothing. There was plenty before me, and there'll be plenty after me. Make the most of this bit of time, and that's just how it's happened.
I think it would be ignorant of people to assume that there is something afterwards purely based on the fact that we can't understand what it could possibly be.
Yeah. Do you think it's... Sorry, fuck, I've just lost my thought, but it was a good one.
Based on our evolution and our sensory reception of the universe, it makes it pretty well impossible for humanity to fathom both nothing and infinity.
Do you think if there was an afterlife, we wouldn't have this instinct, like all other animals, to survive? And when people are in unspeakable pain, mentally or physically, they choose to end it because they have the belief that nothing's afterwards, because they know there's nothing afterwards. Like, if there's something afterwards, why do we pride everything on the fact that we have to survive? Why is there that base instinct? And then when people don't want to live anymore, they don't want to be conscious anymore, they end it if there's something afterwards, because they know they'll just be awake
It's
afterwards.
nearly like the movie Lucy with Scarlett Johansson.
Have been meaning to watch that.
They,
Haven't got around it.
there's a scene in it where they talk about two different cells, and if there's an event with one cell where there's like natural disasters or anything where it can die, it'll choose to reproduce. But if there's a cell where it's perfectly safe and can thrive, it'll live forever.
Yeah, right.
Now saying that, I have no idea why I brought that up, because I've completely forgot what we were talking about beforehand.
Good.
Just the idea that if there's an afterlife, why do we feel that need to survive? And if there is an afterlife, then why do people in pain choose to end their life?
That could come from a fear of sensory deprivation.
Could be.
That, the body could just reject the thought of literally nothing, which drives it to, it then strives to at least have something.
That was good. Well, let us know your thoughts. That's us. Come to an end of our first Small Talks episode. That was what happens after death.